So hello, my name is James Geiger, MD, medical doctor, and clinically certified aromatherapist and board certified anesthesiologist. I wanted to share with you topics that I find fascinating as an anesthesiologist, not from an anesthesia perspective necessarily, but from an aromatherapy with essential oils perspective, because that is my new passion in this century, the 21st century. I wanted to go over some of my favorite literature and explain to you why it's so interesting and fascinating to me as an anesthesiologist, and hopefully you'll find it fascinating as well. But first, I just wanted to mention Banner University here in Arizona, and I've been invited by one of the surgeons to give a talk on aromatherapy. They're having a conference on minimally invasive surgery. Now, minimally invasive surgery is a fascinating process, and they're trying to figure out how to have an enhanced recovery from surgery so that people can have surgery and go home quicker, better, is basically what it boils down to. And I wanted to share with them how to integrate aromatherapy with essential oils into that protocol for either GYN surgery, gynecological surgery, or colorectal surgery. So they're going to give me 25 minutes to share on those, and I'm going to share with them numerous articles that actually have aromatic science clinical applications that they will find very fascinating, stuff they've probably never heard of before, but I'm going to put on YouTube and Facebook and for you right now. So the first article was published in 1929. When I started doing research on oils, I went back, tried to find everything I could find, and this one's fascinating. It's done by an anesthesiologist, and it says the effects of various inhaled vapors on respiration and blood pressure in anesthetized and sleeping and anosmic subjects. So that means people who can't smell, anosmic. So he took all these different scents and put them in a mask and had people breathing them. And the findings were so remarkable. Many of them were caustic and annoying smells, and they made people breath hold and cough. And okay, so he documented that and how it altered their breathing patterns and blood pressure and heart rate. But then he found that many of the oils were very soothing, calming, and they actually anesthetized the nerves in the mouth and oropharynx, the trigeminal nerves and pharyngeal nerves. And I thought that was just fascinating when I realized that you could actually inhale vapors from oils from plants and it would anesthetize the inside of your mouth, and some of them would be easy to breathe and some would be difficult to breathe. And I started just being more and more fascinated with the subject. So 1929, the 20th century, had some interesting articles, but not nearly as good as the ones that I found in this century. Here's one for patients with asthma and using concomitant therapy with cinolol. Cinolol is found in eucalyptus and many other oils. Cinolol, from a traditional standpoint, is an expectorant. But here they did it as a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial on asthmatics. And the finding was really remarkable. When they put cinolol in capsules and had them take it internal, it actually decreased their amount of steroids that they needed as an asthmatic to help them not have cough and bronchospasm and shortness of breath, and increase their ability to fill out their little forms for how much easier their lifestyle was, how much easier it was to breathe by taking cinolol, one of the components of eucalyptus oil, which is fascinating. And you can use eucalyptus oil in your vaporizer, in your diffuser, on your hands. Fascinating that asthmatics can get better using essential oils. And COPD, people who've had really severe smoking problems and then have that problem as well. Here's another one, lavender oil in comparison with a benzodiazepine, lorazepam, for generalized anxiety disorder. Now, how many people do you know that complain about panic attacks or anxiety? We all have stress in this day and time in this life, from multitasking to the nth degree and having a difficult time. Or here's a double-blind randomized study, lavender oil in capsules taken in comparison with this lorazepam, and it was actually better than lorazepam. No side effects except for burping lavender. And they felt like they had better results by having lavender in capsules taken internally than they did taking a pill for anxiety. Fascinating research. Here's another interesting one for dementia, the use of oils for dementia. Now, I found this really fascinating. I got a mother who's got pretty severe Alzheimer's, And when I use lavender on her and several other essential oils, it helps calm her down tremendously so that we can get back in a regular conversation. She's such a great listener, but when she gets agitated because she doesn't understand what's going on in her life, she doesn't recognize the people around her, it can be very, very difficult to manage people with those kind of problems. Alzheimer's is becoming more and more significant in our population as this population ages. And it's nice to know that there are aromatic and aromatherapy plants for treatment for behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia in patients with Alzheimer. And there's clinical evidence and known mechanisms for that. Another great article. In my next video that I'm going to talk about an oil called Copaiba. Copaiba as a dietary supplement has tremendous applications. When we as physicians think about analyzing a person to try and figure out what kind of problems they might have, we do a review of their body systems. We talk about the respiratory system, the cardiac system, the neurologic system. Well, this Copaiba oil seems to touch positively on every single body system that's known to man. And it's really, look at how thick this article is. Tremendous research going on with this new oil called Copaiba. I use it topically. I use it in ingestion. I take a couple of drops on my tongue, but only with the really certified pure versions of it that I know come from a really positive source where I can tell that it's pure. Then I take it internally. But it's for inflammation. And as we age, we all have inflammation. And this inflammation can be really a downfall to our joints, especially knees and hips as we age. Many people get those replaced every year. They do 250,000 knee replacements on Americans in the United States every year. And perhaps using Copaiba topically on the knees when you're starting at a younger age, and maybe internally as well, will limit that kind of inflammatory damage to our joints. So those are just some examples of some of the articles that I find fascinating that I'll be commenting on to physicians as I meet them. So I just wanted to share these kinds of things with you and let you know that the aromatic sciences in the 21st century are becoming very important and very well known, mainstream, and very exciting to me as a physician. So thanks for viewing. Hope to see you again on this YouTube and Facebook videos. You're the best. Good day.